We are chatting with one of my favorite guests ever, not just here on the Recher podcast, but also back when I was on WDAE, our good friend Colleen Wright from the Tampa Bay Times. Colleen, I know you're not 100%, so thank you so much for taking some time. The weather looks beautiful out there where you are today. I mean, it's a little chilly for us Floridians, but man, these are it's better than being, I was just talking to my friend in upstate New York, 9 degrees. I think it's a little bit better here than there. Happy freaking Wednesday to you. How are things?
Things are good. Thanks for having me back, Jay. Yeah, the weather is beautiful. I just lost my voice a little bit, but it's all good. I'm excited to be back on the show.
You are the best. All right, let's get right into it. I mean, we look at this entire thing with the Rays in the stadium. I feel like we've had so many different types of conversations over the years when it comes to the Rays. It's hard for me to get excited, right? I mean, because I feel like we've been down this road before, Colleen. So just, I mean, give us the latest from what you can, and how excited should Rays fans be? Like, how far along in this journey are we to possibly getting shovels in the ground? It's so weird. I feel like I'm saying the same thing over. Excuse me if I'm just a little bit like, it's almost like the Green Day song, Wake Me Up When September Ends kind of thing. Like, where are we at?
Okay, New Year, same story. As far as optimism, it's kind of split. So let's recap what happened yesterday, and I'll take you through my day. So,
okay.
First thing in the morning, we get the memorandum of understanding between Hillsborough College and the Rays. Here's kind of what's going on. The Rays basically want to ground lease much of the Hillsborough College Dale Mabry campus. It's actually the campus that butts up right to Steinbrenner Field and is across the street from Raymond James Stadium, of course, where the Bucks play. So basically, the Rays just want to lease that land, and that most of it, we don't even know the exact proportions. We haven't gotten an answer yesterday. More on that later. But basically, the Rays Hillsborough College would kind of like relocate and concentrate in like the southwest corner, and the stadium would be in the southeast corner, and then there would be a little bit more development in like the northwest corner. The northeast corner, of course, is like Steinbrenner Field. So yesterday, Hillsborough College voted on this MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, and it basically is kind of just like a term sheet. It's not very long. It was about 10 pages, but it's light reading if you want to take a look at it. But it basically is kind of like a roadmap to everything they have to agree with. For example, there's no financing structure yet. We don't know what the Rays want to pay to ground lease this land for 99 years. We don't know that yet. That's something they got to figure out. So there's terms like that. There's also something in there that Hillsborough College, in this MOU, can exclusively negotiate with the Rays for 180 days. You talk about optimism. St. Petersburg and Pinellas County and the Rays back in 2023, by the time they had a tentative deal in place where people knew the public financing split to when the votes happened for September 2023 to July of 2024, when binding votes happened, that was 10 months. This window is for 5. So I'm going to kind of jump in the timeline a little bit, but Hillsborough College, its board of trustees, which are all appointed by the governor, so they are not elected, voted unanimously for this MOU without any discussion. And then, so it's kind of like basically the start of a brand new process. There were a lot of questions that were asked at this press conference that was hosted by Hillsborough College and the Rays immediately after. I would say Ken Babby and Ken Atwater kind of answered none of the questions. It was answered, asked, what is Hillsborough College getting out of this? Because it seems like they're going to be disrupted and have to move. They were like, oh, we'll have internships and stuff for the students with the stadium there. It's like, okay. Then it was kind of, I asked the question, what happens in 180 days? Like, does that mean you still need approvals from the city of Tampa, from Hillsborough County? You've got the Tampa Sports Authority involved. You got the airport involved because of height restrictions.
Yeah.
So do those happen within the 180 days? Do they not? And what happens if 180 days comes and goes? No answer from Ken Babby. It was just a complete non-answer. So there's a lot of questions here, and I get that it's the beginning of negotiations. We talk about optimism. Let me take you back earlier in this day when I went to a press conference with Governor Ron DeSantis. He was here at, funny enough, St. Petersburg College in Pinellas Park. And I asked him the question about what his reaction is to this MOU between Hillsborough College and the Rays. And he said that Rays fans have a lot of optimism, that there's a reason they should be optimistic. that the right ownership group is in place. He said, Jeff Vinnick's Lightning shows what you could do with like a good leadership, good ownership group, and you could build up a good organization. He said he thinks the current Rays ownership has that. But he said something kind of interesting that, Governor Ron DeSantis from Dunedin, so Tampa Bay native, played Little League baseball, huge baseball fan. He said that Tampa Bay should have kind of like the first crack at, kind of like first dibs at having the team stay here. But if not, Orlando would love to have them. And he got specific. He said that, of course, Walt Disney World's Wide World of Sports would be happy to have them, that Universal Studios could put it right next to their parks. It was interesting. And his kind of whole thing is, I'm the governor. I want them to stay in Florida. I think Tampa Bay has a good shot. He loves the idea of, kind of like what the Atlanta Braves have in the Battery, of a stadium surrounded by a development. That's what the Rays are going for here. So Governor DeSantis was all kind of, he literally said, Rays fans, baseball fans in Tampa Bay have a reason to be optimistic. But it was interesting how we don't have a lot of specifics. And he did kind of nod to that, there's some details that need to be ironed out, but we don't have a lot of specifics. Not a lot of questions were asked. It's interesting that he threw out Orlando. So, it's interesting.
That's not something Tampa Bay fans want to hear, Colleen.
Yeah,
right? Because
not.
we've been saying, no, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. The Orlando Dreamers, no. But the fact that on a day like this, where you're trying to build optimism for Rays fans and the team staying here in the Tampa Bay area, whether it's in St. Pete or Tampa, the fact that the governor of this state not even prompted of like, all right, well, where could they move if it didn't work out there, just so happens to mention Orlando, that can't make Rays fans feel, too great on a day where we're supposed to be really happy about something happening in this part of the state.
Yeah. And to be fair, this press conference with DeSantis happened, I want to say he was late. It was like 11:30 in the morning. Hillsborough College vote didn't happen till 4 p.m. So, yeah, but it's kind of like, I think the best way to look at this is that we are at the beginning of another very long process. That's just the bottom line. There's a lot of things that need to happen, a lot of things that come together. It does seem like they have a different plan. In ground leasing, public land owned by the state, basically, right? Like I said, Hillsborough College is controlled by trustees who are appointed by the governor. So, and Patrick Zalupski, new owner of the Tampa Bay Rays, tight with DeSantis. Zalupski was a donor to DeSantis for his presidential run. And Zalupski was appointed by DeSantis to the Board of Trustees for the University of Florida. So there's a good relationship there. Right. And that's a good sign, but there's a lot of approvals. We need to think back to like September of 2023 when there was a tentative agreement, but that even had dollar figures associated with this. We don't know what those dollar figures are yet. So we're like, I don't even want to say step one. We're at like step half into a new process. But it's a different process, so maybe it's better. Maybe it's different this time. The governor seems to think so, but he did, without prompting, without me asking, he did bring up Orlando, that Orlando would love to have a crack at this.
Yeah, I don't know if Rays fans are going to be over the moon for that one. So, I mean, so what? All right, so we're at step half. I love the way you said that. We're at step half of this process. You're not wrong. You're not wrong, my friend. So what's step 3/4? What is step one? When's the next time we're going to hear something about this? When's the next vote? When can we go, all right, well, this is where we're heading, I guess, here now?
Great question. I spoke with some folks after the meeting, briefly and casually, who said that, we should be paying attention to Hillsborough College and the next Board of Trustee meetings that happen after this. Of course, the Tampa Bay Times and my colleagues at the Tampa Bay Times, it's not just me. We've got a whole team working on this. We'll be requesting records, doing interviews, running down people, getting, what we can, reporting this out. But you'll see negotiations on Hillsborough College's side. You're going to see this more now that there's kind of a site chosen with the city of Tampa and Hillsborough County. Tampa Sports Authority is probably, I would say, 99% going to be involved. So there's a lot of players in this, and that's another thing, is that there's just more players than there were in St. Pete and Pinellas in that deal. But it seems like the region when I say the region, Tampa Bay really does want to keep them here. And let's see how that shakes out. Like, maybe it'll be fine. You know what I mean? Like, maybe
Yeah.
I never want to be on here and be like doom and gloom, but I do want to caution people that it's just, and again, nothing in this memorandum of understanding that was approved yesterday is binding. So like, even the 180 days, like,
Right.
maybe that's nothing. You know what I mean? It's basically just a way to start the agreement. But speaking of timeline, Ken Babby did bring up that, like, yeah, we're still talking about opening a new stadium in April of 2029. And there have not, and I've asked about this repeatedly. Mayor Ken Welch, the mayor of St. Petersburg, has brought up, oh, well, the Rays are probably going to need an extension. The Rays kind of don't almost acknowledge that. They're like, we're so grateful for rebuilding our relationship with St. Petersburg. We're still optimistic that we can have, I'm paraphrasing, we're optimistic to have an opening by April 2029. That's a really short timeline. Again, if you look at the St. Petersburg Pinellas deal, they were supposed to break ground. We're in 2026. They're supposed to break ground 25, first quarter 25, for opening in 28. So if you were sticking to the same timeline, you would have to break ground first quarter 26 for 29, but we're not there. We don't even know how much it costs. So, like, again, Governor DeSantis says lots to be optimistic about. You did have a very easy breezy, no discussion vote with trustees, but there's a lot we don't know. There's just a lot we don't know, and there's a lot more players involved. So we'll see.
Yeah, to me, the timeline doesn't match up, and I appreciate you trying to keep that vein of optimism here on the show, which is great, and I appreciate that. But, in reality, you're right. I mean, because we've been we've been hammering these timelines, right, of the first quarter of 2025, and I kept saying first quarter of 2025, and it's come and gone, and 28, and then obviously with the storms and things getting pushed back. And if you're going to try to keep it on these concrete timelines, then, like, obviously we know, right? Like, that's the good and the bad thing of seeing renderings and hearing discussions about stadiums. Like, people even that are in kind of just like the that don't do this for a living, like yourself, like, you kind of understand like what it takes, right? You understand what the votes, you understand that you need to hear about the finances, you understand that you need, whether it's county, city involvement. Unfortunately, we've had too much practice when it comes to something like this. Before I let you go, is there anything else that stood out to you about the meeting? Where does St. Pete kind of live with all this? I feel bad. I saw a video yesterday of a man who was just absolutely crestfallen that, it looks like his team's going to go to the Tampa side, but, give me something else that maybe we haven't touched on today, and kind of where did this leave St. Pete?
That's a great question. So St. Petersburg, right now they're in a 30-day window. So to solicit proposals for the historic gas plant district, that's what they call the land where Tropicana Field is. And they're ready to kind of move on and build something else there. Let's see what kind of proposal is chosen and how far that goes. There's a little bit of consternation over how that process is going, but Mayor Ken Welch is like kind of ready to move on, and let's just redevelop this land and bring jobs and businesses and housing and things that were promised to the community of the gas plant. Of course, the gas plant was the redlined Black community that lived there before that land was raised and Tropicana Field came in. As I spoke with some elected officials on Friday, both for and against the deal, the original deal, the St. Petersburg Pinellas 2024 Rays deal, and they were kind of like, good luck, like, hope you can figure it out. It felt very much a like, good luck to you, good luck to the start of negotiations.
Right.
We'll see. Some people I think that like it won't work out in Tampa or Hillsborough County and they'll come back to the Trop. Maybe, but like, you've got a city that's also ready to go.
Yeah.
There's also doubts about this process and how it's going. Who knows? Again, maybe that'll work out fine. Maybe it won't. We also have an election coming up on this side of the bay. So who knows with timelines if that's going to be an issue. But I do think, I do think like if the governor is coming out and even saying Orlando, he's the governor, you know what I mean? He knows, he's a baseball fan. He's aware. as you reported before, DeSantis met with Rob Manfred, the commissioner of Major League
Right.
Baseball. So he's in the know. He's definitely in the know. And I don't know. I think if you're a St. Petersburg fan, Rays fan in St. Petersburg, enjoy 26 and 27 and 28 because I don't rule anything out, right? We
Right.
thought,
Yep.
right, that there was going to be a deal and
Mhm.
shovels and whatever, and then 2 hurricanes came. You just never know what's going to happen. But I do think if you're a Rays fan in St. Pete, I'd head to the Trop for 3 more years.
No doubt about it. Colleen_Wright on Twitter/X. Make sure you guys hear me say it all the time here on the show. Support local, support our friends at the Tampa Bay Times. We have our good friend Ed Encina on every Thursday to talk some Lightning hockey. We have our pal Joey Knight and, of course, Rick Stroud and Mark Topkin. Congratulations, Grandpa Topkin, with another little one added to the Topkin crew, and Colleen and John Romano. And we just love my friends over there. Again, guys and gals, I tell you this all the time with all the great things that we have here in our community, not just on the sports side, but just things like this in the know. You got to support local. I'm an old school newspaper guy, and I will be subscribing to the Tampa Bay Times for as long as I live here in the Tampa Bay area. The one and only Colleen Wright. You want to talk about people that make our show a whole heck of a lot better, a whole heck of a lot smarter. Colleen is right there at the top of the list. You're the best, my friend. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. You sounded great. You sounded great. You didn't sound like you had a sore throat at all. You are the best. Thank God for the tea. Unbelievable. You're the best. Thanks, Colleen.
Thanks, Jay. Have a good one.
You too.